Hank's Corner. I'm Hank Jr., and I'm excited about my next guest here. She is somebody that I've been following for a while, so I am very happy to have her on the show. Please welcome Stephanie Ryan. Stephanie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing awesome. So, where are you calling in from? I know it's somewhere cold.
Yes, that is true. I am currently in Maine.
Okay. And how cold is it up there?
I mean, it's not that bad. It obviously depends on the day, but I think today we were in the low 40s.
Okay. And I've seen that you've posted there's been snowfall already this year. And
Yes, we've had a few days. We got some snow, and then of course you get the rain, and it makes it wash away, which sucks. But we did get a few days of snow, which was nice.
which made me very jealous because I'm here in Tampa, Florida, and we had a little bit of a cool spell that got down to the 50s for a while, but this whole weekend was in the 80s, so it's not very Christmas-like down here right now.
Are you originally from the South?
So I spent a lot of time in Texas, born and raised, and
Mhm.
I did also spend my high school and college years up in the South Jersey area. So I am familiar with a little bit of the cold weather and snow. And believe it or not, my first white Christmas was actually in South Texas back in I think it was 2002 or 2003. So go figure.
Wow. Yeah, definitely go figure. But you know, at least you're used to it. Honestly, being up here, it's not crazy different from down in like the New Jersey, New York area, because that's where I had come from. I was more like New York, Connecticut. So it's colder here longer, but it's not super different as far as, temperatures and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you said you're originally from like the Connecticut area. That's where your family is at currently.
Yeah, Connecticut and New York. That I grew up in Westchester County, so that's in New York, and I've been in Connecticut for 6 years, and then I moved to Maine during the pandemic. So now I'm
So
here.
what did bring you to Maine then specifically? Said during the pandemic, but why Maine? Tell us about that.
So my husband and his family have been vacationing to this exact house for years, probably close to 20 years at this point, and we got an opportunity during the pandemic to actually purchase the house. So the idea was, let's buy this so that we always have it and it's in the family, and then we can also be able to travel, and if we need to rent this because it's in more of a like summer vacation spot, that people can rent this and we can go down to Nashville or wherever I need to be for music. So that was the general impetus of, buying a house. Otherwise, we were renting prior to that.
Okay, and so is this home? Is it out there in the open, very country feel, or is it close to the city?
It's kind of both, if that makes any sense.
Hmm.
We're by the water, so it's not out in the sticks technically, but it's not in the city. So it's kind of like an in between.
Okay, so I would guess, and the reason why I asked that is that you might be able to draw some inspiration, or at least have some quiet time to get out there and play your music when you have that open area. I would assume, correct?
Oh yeah, and it doesn't take much to get to those areas. I mean, you go 5, 10 miles and you're there. So we're not far from the wide open country to just hang and enjoy the weather, enjoy the scenery. That's one of the things I absolutely love about being up here.
And watching some of your videos and the photos that you post, there is a lot of scenery that you do show, which is pretty cool. So like I said, sometimes I get a little jealous. I mean, we have our beaches and stuff like that here in Florida, but I do miss some of those, those trees and the leaves and the changing of all that. But out of curiosity, as you know, I'm a photographer and a videographer on the side. Who does your photography and videography? Because I think it's such a great job, whoever it is that's doing it.
Well, thank you. Actually, my husband does a lot of it. I've had a few photographers here and there in between him shooting a lot of my stuff, but it is mostly my husband.
Okay. So tell me about 2021. We're nearing the end of the year now. As we wrap up and you look back, was 2021 in your mind a very successful year, or was it something that was a challenging year for you? Tell me about 2021.
2021 was challenging in the sense of we're trying to get back to that quote unquote normal state of being. And there's a lot of people out there that are trying to book the same types of jobs that you're trying to book. So it's made it a little bit more challenging in that way, because in 2020, we weren't doing anything at all. So everyone's kind of been cooped up and trying to figure out like what is the next move, and everything has been like booked and then rebooked and all that. So it's been challenging trying to book new things, but besides that, music has been actually really great for me. I've been able to do a lot from home. I do a lot of my recording from home. Um, so it really hasn't stopped me from doing anything, which is great. But I know it's been a challenge for a lot of people. So I'm just thankful to have the experience that I have.
Yeah, so traveling is a still a bit of a problem right now. It's not the easiest thing to do, and thankful for platforms like this that we're on to be able to communicate and do it this way. But I did see that you made it back to Nashville a couple of times this year. How's that been going for you?
It's been great. I mean, I haven't had any issues. It's kind of almost like I haven't skipped a beat. When the pandemic hit and wasn't able to go down, that obviously stunk. But before that, I was going down and playing different rooms, meeting different people, networking, and I feel like I've really gotten back into that now that I've been able to travel a little bit.
Okay, and I mentioned going back to Nashville. Storytelling wise, tell me about your trip to Nashville as far as getting into the music business because um, I know there were other things, and we'll talk about that later that you did before. But how did you get into music? When did that start? Were you inspired young? Who influenced you? Give us all that.
Do you want the short version or the long version?
That's up to you.
Well, I'll try to give you a mix of the two so I don't like totally talk your ear off. But so I grew up listening to a ton of different music. My mom was in a band prior to her getting married and then having four kids. So there was always music around the house. She would walk around just singing all the time. And that I remember that vividly in my mind and absolutely love it. I mean, sometimes even now I'll think back to those times of like when my mom used to be in the kitchen singing or in the dining room doing something. And it was always part of my life. And I wanted to be, a singer because when you're a kid, you don't know what to call it for my whole life. And I was in all sorts of different choruses and choirs and anything that you could be in that could put me on a stage to sing and put my music out there and my voice out there. And then we fast forward to 2000, what would it be? I can't even say because all the math kills me, but I was about 16 when the shows came out like American Idol and Nashville Star, The Voice, all that stuff. So initially I tried out for American Idol. I did that probably six times over the years. I auditioned for The Voice three times, and Nashville Star when it was on TV, that was once. And that, took me through the years a bit trying to, figure out how can I best break into the industry to really shine in my own way. And unfortunately, none of that, worked in my favor, but maybe fortunately for now, I think everything happens for a reason. But in 2014 or so, I met one of my now good friends, Elliot Lewis, who plays for Hall and Oates. And he introduced me to my first co-writer. I would say first in the sense of like actually doing something, because I wrote with a few people prior to that, but it was always not the right fit, I guess I would say. People kind of would try to take advantage of you because you're young and you don't know what you're doing. So I kind of steered away from that. But once I met Kevin, he and I were very much aligned on the things that we wanted to do and how we wanted to continue moving down the line of figuring out where are we going with this. So I wrote with him for about 2 years before I decided that I wanted to put out an EP. And finally did that in 2018, put out a 5-song EP, which I'm super proud of. And that really kind of like broke me into the industry and trying to figure out how do you do it? What avenues do you need to go down to like get your music out there? And I guess fortunately for us, we have the ability to do it ourselves now and not having to rely on a record label to be able to put out music. So that's been vastly helpful for all independent artists. And then from there, I started going to Nashville and meeting a lot of other people, networking, and just opening the scope of people that I would work with. I started writing with a lot of different writers, which was amazing. And then I met my producer who produces me now, and his name is Brent Rader, and he's just absolutely amazing. Totally gets exactly what I'm trying to do with my career and my sound. He and I have been working together since February 2020. That's actually the first time that I met him, was at just a bar. We grabbed lunch to meet through a mutual friend and chat, and then we started talking about moving forward with music, and then the pandemic hit. So he and I have done most of my singles since early 2020 virtually, and the Christmas song that I put out a couple weeks ago is the first song that we actually got to record in person. So that, I guess, brings me to like my career right now and where I'm at.
And so you mentioned the Christmas song. So that's what Christmas means to me. And where did that concept come from? Where did that was that something that was a real life experience that you just wrote down those emotions, or?
Yeah, that was all real life experience. I was sitting, I think it was at my in-laws house, and I was just sitting there kind of just thinking about how difficult it was, because it was 2020 and you couldn't see everybody that you wanted to be with and be with like everybody that you love during the holidays. I made it like a point to see everybody, but all from like 6 feet away. And it was very complicated to make it all work. But during the holiday season, I thought of that, and I was just thinking about all the things that I remember from growing up, when, you have all of this childhood energy and these thoughts about Christmas and what it means to you then, and then moving through the years to what it means now. And I just was able to kind of put that all in a song. And there was the one day that I wrote it, I brought it to my friend Levi Moore, who's the co-writer on the song. And I was just like, hey, I never really ever thought about writing a Christmas song, but I had this idea, and I think it's something we should, work on if you're cool with it. And he thankfully was, excited about it, and he wanted to work on it. So we finished it up last year. And of course, it was too close to the holiday to put it out then. And I had already put out Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas as a cover. So I was saving it to put out this year. And I'm really happy that I did.
Well, let's go ahead and listen to that. Here's Stephanie Ryan with What Christmas Means to Me.
Snow is falling all around. For a moment, the world slows down. The lights around us are all aglow. The time to kiss under mistletoe. Decorate the Christmas tree with twinkle lights and memories. Classic movies made of clay. That's all I wanna do on Christmas Day. These are few of many things. I'm thankful for the blessings this life brings. With those I love and those with angel wings. That's what Christmas means to me. That's what Christmas means to me. Whiskey by the fireside, carolers heard every night. Presents wrapped underneath the tree. One for you and two for me. A house filled with the scent of pine. We wait all year for Christmas time. Surrounded by friends and family. That's the only place I wanna be. These are few of many things. I'm thankful for the blessings this life brings. With those I love and those with angel wings. That's what Christmas means to me. That's what Christmas means to me. just begun. These are few of many things. I'm thankful for the blessings this life brings. With those I love and those with angel wings. That's what Christmas means to me. That's what Christmas means to me.
You're listening to Hank's Corner. I'm Hank Jr., and you just heard What Christmas Means to Me by Stephanie Ryan, a great original Christmas song that I find myself listening to uh, at least once a day, it seems like. So I'm glad
Well,
that you
thank
decided to put it
you.
out this year. I think it was perfect timing for that. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. So I know that you had some other careers and stuff before. Are you a full time musician now?
I am.
Okay, so before that, I heard something about that you may have been a firefighter. Is that true?
I was a volunteer firefighter for 13 years.
Oh, wow, 13 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So I found that interesting because I also volunteered as a firefighter slash EMT for about maybe 5, 6 years. So
Good for
what did you
you.
think about doing that? And, was that something that, or what got you into doing something like that?
I absolutely love the time that I was there. And had I not moved, I probably would still be in the fire department. It was a very big um, a family thing. My grandfather was in the fire department, and it was all the same fire department. So my grandfather was in it, my father, my brother, and being one of three girls, and then my brother being the oldest, I was like, I don't see any women in the fire department, and I just feel like that's not cool. So I want to do this. And of course, at that time, people were like, I don't know, like women in the fire department. But I didn't care. I was just like, nope, that's what I want to do. So I joined the junior volunteers when I was in, I think, seventh or eighth grade. You could join junior volunteers. So I started there. And then when I was in 12th grade, I think it was, I was able to join the actual volunteer program. So that was really awesome. And just being able to be out there and going through the training and just the camaraderie of everything, I really enjoyed my time there. And like I said, if I was still living there, I'd probably still be part of the department. My dad is the chief, and my brother got hired as a full-time firefighter a couple of years ago. So it's just something in our blood, and I just really enjoy doing it.
Well, let me thank you and your family for doing that service. I mean, it's people like you that that are on the front lines and help us when we need it the most. And because if a firefighter, obviously, yeah, they put out fires, but they're there for a lot of other things too, a lot of other emergencies that they go to. And so, thank you and your family for doing that. Did you
Thank
have
you.
any dangerous stories, from that, or anything that was just kind of like, wow, this is overwhelming.
No dangerous stories. I am very fortunate that I either wasn't able to attend because being a volunteer, you show up when you are available. So I wasn't necessarily always available when everything happened. I made it to as many calls as I could. But fortunately for me, nothing was ever crazy out of control. You got a lot of like electrical stuff, people burning their turkeys or cats stuck in a tree or, car accidents, stuff like that. I did not have the experience of actually going to fully engulfed homes or anything like that. So I'm just very lucky for that. I know my
That's a
family
good thing.
has been involved in that, and I give them a lot of credit for being able to do that. I know, if I was there and able, I would absolutely be on the lines with them because it's just something that I love to do. I love to be able to give back to the community in any way, shape, or form. So it meant a lot to me. And thank you also for your service,
I
for,
appreciate that.
being a volunteer as well.
So one of the other things that I heard that you may have done was you were a fashion model, or maybe you're still doing some of that. Tell me a little bit about that.
I was a fashion model for 10 years, I think. I probably like professionally 10 years, but maybe a few years prior to that, just kind of getting started. I actually went into modeling thinking that it would help me meet people to try to break into the music industry. And unfortunately, that was not the case, but I did have a great experience being a model for 10 years. And that finally came to an end last year, which was, bittersweet, but also something that I knew was going to be coming because just wasn't something that was in my heart to do. I really wanted to focus on music and move forward doing that. So it all happens for a reason. Like I said earlier, I just kind of go with the flow with a lot of things. Of course, we make all our own choices and, figure out where those things go, but it was time.
And even though you said it came to an end, I have to assume that there are some lessons that you may have learned from that that kind of, helps you in the music industry, even if it's just something simple like what am I wearing on stage, or how do I put together a video that's appealing. Was that some of the lessons that you learned, or were there even hardcore lessons that it's like I wouldn't go back to that to save my life?
There were a lot of lessons learned. There's a lot of self-worth learned. For a lot of models, they get torn down of you need to lose weight or you need to gain weight or you need to be taller or shorter or your eyes need to be blue or your hair needs to be long or short, and all of these really specific things, and some of them we don't have control over. So you really have to learn self-love and just know who you are, and that the industry is very much what you look like, not who you are. So you really can't take it personally. It helped me in the sense of always pushing past people saying no, because you get a million no's in modeling before you get a yes. And it's the same thing with the music industry. You get a ton of no's before you get a yes, and you just have to keep going. So that definitely helped me a lot. Also with posing for covers and cover art for songs and doing different promo that you need for the shows that we do and all that stuff. It really prepared me in that sense for all of those things. And I mean, I love my time as a model. I got to do a lot of different jobs that were really cool. I also got to do a lot of different jobs that were really awful. So those I would trade, but the rest of it was definitely eye-opening in different ways, and just a really good learning experience that I can take with me and move forward with.
And so I'm glad that you mentioned the aspect of, um, having to look a certain way, to fit a certain part, or what they're looking for. And it can be hard on young girls to, deal with something like that. Do you find that in the music industry, as a female artist, that you still have some of that you saw in the model world, where you have to look a certain way, or is it no different than a male?
Honestly, it's kind of hard to tell because there just are so many different women that are breaking out into the industry right now that I don't know if I could say it has to really do with looks or anything like that. And a lot of it has to do with talent. Sometimes it doesn't, and it is looks, but it just depends on what they're choosing to push forward with and what they find is marketable. And obviously, I'm an artist, so I don't know what they are, making the rules regarding, but it seems like there are women of all shapes and sizes, different hair colors, eye colors, all the things that are coming out now. So I feel like it's not just pigeonholed to be a certain type of something. I'm hoping that it'll keep doing that because it really shouldn't matter what you look like. It should matter what you sound like and the performance that you give and all those other influences that you have as opposed to just what is on the outside.
And I think it is starting to change. Like I said, for a while there, I did hear, that it was a little tougher on the females, especially in country music, to do that. But I think now with the different platforms, the different social media, female artists are able to take that into their own hands and kind of control their destiny a little bit more. Do you feel that social media has kind of helped you in that aspect as well?
I feel like it's a very double-edged sword because there are so many amazing aspects about social media that obviously it's free for us to use and we can post what we want, but you're relying a lot on the algorithm to throw your stuff out to other people, or you're doing something that kind of catches fire and then it does it automatically. I haven't mastered the social media yet. And I don't know if I ever will, but some artists have, and I think it's amazing. But you can make it work for you in that way and be able to get more eyes on you. That's obviously what we all want. So, I give major props to those people who have figured it out. Like I said, I'm still learning.
And I'm one of the ones that really haven't been able to figure it out, although I haven't been doing this very long. So it's a little tough, and I can understand that. And one of the reasons why I did want to put the podcast together, or I do offer, a lot of times free photography and videography for the newer artists, because sometimes they need that extra help. And I believe that, having a community of supporting each other is really good. But I bring up the thing about social media because I had seen that I think you did very well. I think you had something like 122,000 streams this year. So I think that's pretty good. And what also was very interesting to me was that it was in 96 countries that were listening to your music. And so that's how social media or the internet can help, get you out there. Because I don't know if you know this or not, I came across your music through Down the Road Radio. And for those that know that I've been following Down the Road and kind of partnered with them a little bit, Down the Road Radio is actually out of Ireland. So go figure. I heard you initially through an Ireland radio station.
That is really funny. I did not know that, but that's amazing. And I'm incredibly thankful to have that many countries that have been interested in my music. And I'm hoping to just grow that over time and, have people really relate to the things that I'm saying and singing about.
And so one of the songs that I heard early on that attracted me to your music was "Over You," and I'd like to go ahead and play that right now.
Absolutely. Go for it.
All right, here's Stephanie Ryan with "Over You."
I don't have to pretend I don't see you anytime our paths cross on a Saturday night. I don't care who you spend your time with, that's up to you. Your heart ain't mine, no matter what you say, no matter what you do. 'Cause I'm on to the next, don't need to try to forget. I moved on and I've gotten good at goodbyes. Won't let you mess with my head, there's nothing left to be said. I don't know about you, but I'm doing fine. It might seem out of the blue, but I'm already over you. I don't catch myself thinking about you, 'cause every falling tear was a lesson learned. I know now I'm better off without you. I'm glad I didn't get what I thought I deserved. Don't matter what you say, don't matter what you do. 'Cause I'm on to the next, don't need to try to forget. I moved on and I've gotten good at goodbyes. Won't let you mess with my head, there's nothing left to be said. I don't know about you, but I'm doing fine. It might seem out of the blue, but I'm already over you. Yeah, wouldn't change a thing, I won't forget your name. Sometimes it just don't work out, but I don't have regrets. 'Cause I'm on to the next, don't need to try to forget. I moved on and I've gotten good at goodbyes. Won't let you mess with my head, there's nothing left to be said. I don't know about you, but I'm doing. 'Cause I'm on to the next, don't need to try to forget. I moved on and I've gotten good at goodbyes. Won't let you mess with my head, there's nothing left to be said. I don't know about
You're listening to Hank's Corner. I'm Hank Jr., and you just heard Stephanie Ryan singing one of my favorite songs, Over You. So we're getting close to the end of the year. Do you have any New Year's resolutions or goals for 2022?
I don't know about resolutions. I really didn't think about that yet, honestly. Goals, yes, I have tons of goals. I want to be opening for a lot of artists next year. Obviously, as an independent, we all want to be opening for some of the big wigs out there so that we can try and build off of their audiences. You want to link up with somebody who's kind of similar to you but different enough that your audiences will like you both, but there's no competition. So I'm hoping to do a few more of those next year. This past year I was able to open for Tennille Arts, which was
Oh,
awesome, and in years past I've opened for Cole Swindell and Jackson Dean and Carolyn Miller and a few other different bands and artists. So I'm very lucky to have been able to do that, but I really want to break into that more this year. I've already got a few like bar gigs and stuff like that coming up in the new year, but I'm definitely leaving my schedule open for hopefully some summer festivals and opening gigs that I can secure for the new year.
if you can open up or even go on stage with one artist, who would that artist be?
There are so many.
All right. Well, I'll give you
There's
three.
so
You can name
many.
three. How about that?
Oh, thanks. If I had to name three, good lord, it would be Chris Stapleton for sure, um, Carly Pierce, and Miranda Lambert.
Okay. And any reason why that those are big influences in your life?
I absolutely love Chris Stapleton's music. I love his sound, everything about it. It's not just his voice, it's like the music and the composition and what he's singing about. I absolutely just gravitate towards that like bluesy kind of rock country sound. I love Carly Pierce because she's very honest and open with a lot of things, and the writers that she writes with and even her writing herself I just really relate to and enjoy. Miranda Lambert just has this like fun personality, and I think we would get along amazing over some whiskey.
And who doesn't like Miranda Lambert, right?
Exactly.
So you mentioned that you're going to be doing maybe some touring, doing some shows. By chance, are you going to come down to Florida?
I am hoping to. This past summer, I was supposed to come down and do like a whole southern tour, and unfortunately, due to circumstances outside of my capacity, I wasn't able to do that. So I'm really hoping that, getting towards maybe the spring, I'll be able to secure a couple Florida dates. But, if you have any places that you think might be a good idea for me to check out, definitely send them my way.
I'll have to find a way to get you down here. So, um, Christmas is coming next. So even before we get to the new year, do you have any Christmas traditions that you do?
Oh yeah, I mean, we always have the tree up. Usually we have it up after Thanksgiving, but I right after Thanksgiving, the day after, actually flew to Nashville and I was there for 8 days, so we had to put that on hold for this year. But we were able to get the tree up and decorate it. We always do like a different type of tree every year, which has
Is it
been a tradition of ours.
is it a real tree or artificial tree?
So this year it was an artificial tree because we're not home long enough to have a real one. But for the past several years, we've had a real one. And, there's a vote for either because I love having the artificial because you don't have to clean anything up. You don't have to worry about it or like watering it and all those things. Having a real tree, you get the beautiful smell and just like it's so organic and gorgeous. So I'm like kind of a 50-50 when it comes to having artificial versus real. My husband loves real, so usually we go that way. But like I said, since we're not home for as long this year, it would kind of be silly to chop a tree down, have it home for 2 weeks, and then have it wilt when we're not home. So
And what goes on the top of your tree? An angel or a star?
actually, nothing.
Oh, okay.
We don't have a tree topper, and we've never used the tree topper. I think maybe in the first year or so we had a bow or something like that, but we never really had anything that was that special to be on top of the tree. So we just have decorations from the top down.
Okay. Do you have a favorite Christmas movie?
There are several, but most of them are the claymation movies from the 50s. like A Year Without a Santa Claus and Rudolph and Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Those are a couple of my really amazing favorite movies. And more recently is White Christmas, which is actually in the 50s, so it's more recent to one of my loves, but an older movie. I love the classics.
Well, and I just interviewed Eliana Weston, and she actually said that White Christmas was her favorite as well. So
Oh,
I was getting a few that were saying they love Elf, and that's a good movie. But I'm with you. I like the classics. I love Rudolph. Rudolph's my favorite, and just some of those ones from the earlier years. Just I tend to like more. Um, do you have a favorite Christmas song?
I don't know if I have a favorite Christmas song. There are a lot that I love, and speaking of classics, I love all the classic songs. There's a lot of newer ones that are out that are okay. There are some that I really like, but there's those classics that are classics for a reason. They stand the test of time, and I love listening to those.
Well, I have a feeling that potentially that, I'm hoping what Christmas means to me will become a classic, 15, 20 years from now. So let's keep our fingers crossed for that.
I will. I will. I love that song. And like I said earlier, I never, ever, ever thought that I would write a Christmas song, especially being the classic Christmas lover that I am. So I'm hoping that it really hits people and they enjoy it to where it would maybe become a classic one day.
We're going to go ahead and end the interview with another one of my songs that I really enjoyed from you. It also had great scenery out there and it was gravel. So we're going to play that. But Stephanie, I really appreciate you coming on here, and you're more than welcome to be a guest at any time. And hopefully you make it down to Florida next year.
Yes, thank you so much. I really enjoyed being on, and I'm hoping for a Florida trip as well.
Loaded up that Chevy truck with my guitar in about 50 bucks. I gotta get me out of here. People say I'm going nowhere fast, but I'm headed west on a tank of gas. That road's wide open from what I hear. Pedal down past the town where they all thought I'd end up. Everyone born here stays here. Same story year after year. Most people grow up and never leave. Got my bags packed, don't need a map. County lines can't hold me back. Gonna make my way down the road less traveled and kick up the gravel. This'll be my last time driving by the city limit signs. If I'm honest, I don't feel a thing. They all say I dream too big, but I'm not one for settling. My sights are set on something they can't see. Everyone born here stays here. Same story year after year. Most people grow up and never leave. Got my bags packed, don't need a map. County lines can't hold me back. Gonna make my way down the road less traveled and kick up the gravel. I know I gotta take a chance if I'm gonna do what they say I can't. Everyone born here stays here. Same story year after year. Most people grow up and never leave. Got my bags packed, don't